You cannot pay me to insert a cup inside my vagina. I'm a bit open-minded, but only when I'm married. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Emedion Francis. In today's video, I want to talk about the pros and cons of the different sanitary products available in the market for us to use during our monthly flow, because we have quite a few. There's a sanitary pad that we're all familiar with. There's a menstrual cup, menstrual discs, tampons, and the period underwears. Initially, I wanted to discourage us from using anything other than a sanitary pad, because I feel like the risks associated with the sanitary pad are much more bearable and fixable compared to the issues we might encounter with other sanitary products. But in the course of researching for this video, I'm a bit more open-minded, so let's just get started. Alright, the way this is going to work, it will be the pros of a particular product against the other. So we're going to start with the pros of a tampon against a sanitary pad. But before that, let me show you a video of how a tampon actually works. Shout out to this creator. I saw this on TikTok and he actually does the job. So watch it first. With a tampon, you have to insert it inside your vagina, and that means you don't have to worry about stains and leakages. This is something a sanitary pad cannot really offer you. No matter how careful you are, you're going to get stained. Maybe your outerwear, there will be no blood, but your pants and your underwear, there will be blood. Number two, when we are on our period, we become very self-aware and very self-conscious. Sanitary pads add to this self-awareness because whenever we wear a pad, there's always a visible bulge. Now, sometimes you wear a tight over your pants and the bulge will be manageable. Other times, the tight will just worsen the bulge. Now, you don't have any other option than to just change the entire outfit. If it's a uniform or you just can't change that outfit, you'll be so stressed throughout the day because you now have to announce to everybody that you are on your period. How? Please check in my pad is showing. It's my pad showing. It's my pad showing. And that can be very stressful. If you're now working in a male-dominated area where there are just guys and few women, you are forced to sit down one place until a girl comes so you can ask her if your pad is showing. That is so stressful. You don't have to worry about this when you wear a tampon. It's directly inside your vagina, so nothing to worry about. Also, sometimes when we wear a pad, there's that sound it makes when we are walking. You don't have to worry about that with a tampon. Number three, you don't have to worry about rashes when you wear a tampon. And this is something that is so common with sanitary pads. If it's not rashes, it's boils. And there are a few explanations for that. It could be as a result of moisture or heat or friction. That's why it's advisable that you shave before your period starts, just to decongest that area a little bit. Your vagina does not like congestion, and now with a pad and a pants and a tight, that's just too much. So of course you're going to have some kind of rashes. It could also be because of allergies. Some sanitary products are made with very harsh chemicals and very harsh dyes, and of course it's going to irritate you. This is not something you have to worry about with a tampon, except you're going to have rashes inside your vaginal canal, but with a tampon, you don't have to worry about rashes. Number three, you can wear a tampon for longer periods than sanitary pads. With sanitary pads, you need to wear for like 4 to 6 hours. With a tampon, you can get it to about 8 hours. And that's good if you are working in a corporate environment where you have to be so busy or you have to sit down for so long. You don't have to worry about going to the bathroom frequently. Also, if you're an athlete or you love to swim, you don't have to pause your life because you're in your period. You can swim with a tampon. It's not advisable, but it's a much more better option compared to a sanitary pad. Number four, and finally, on the advantages of a tampon, pads are much more likely to generate odor compared to a tampon. So if you're worried about vaginal odor, then a tampon is a much more better option. Alright, so now let's talk about the disadvantages. Number one, you have to insert it inside your vagina, and that can be very uncomfortable, especially if you're not open to the idea of something being inserted inside your vagina. Even when you're open to it, that can still feel very uncomfortable. Number two, Tampons are not really inclusive, and let me explain. Now, I know we have different tampon sizes, but the sizes are not for wear. It's more of the capacity of blood that that particular tampon can hold. So it's more of absorbency instead of sizes. We don't have size 9 to 10 for people that are virgins, people who have not experienced childbirth, and then maybe, I don't know, 15 to 20 for people who have experienced childbirth. That's not what we have. I know the conversation is always that, oh, a tampon cannot disvirgin you, and you're right, because for you to no longer be called a virgin, you need to actually have sex. But let's be real. The process of inserting a tampon can actually stretch the hymen. Emphasis on stretch because there's nothing like break the hymen. Tampons can actually stretch the hymen. Now, stay on topic. I'm not saying that the hymen could not have already been stretched before inserting a tampon. I'm not saying that other activities cannot stretch the hymen. This is a standalone argument that tampons can stretch the hymen, and that can feel painful and also be very uncomfortable. You check online, they will say, oh, it's just a mild discomfort. And my question is, who is the one that determines this discomfort rate? Like, I'm telling you that it's painful, I'm telling you that I'm uncomfortable. What do you mean by it's just a mild discomfort? I watched different videos and, different TikTok videos. It's not a matter of 70 to 30, it's more of 50-50. There are people who say, oh, tampons are very comfortable. There's a whole 50% of people who say it's very painful, it's very uncomfortable. So tampons are not really inclusive. Number 3, it can be very easy for you to forget that you have a tampon inside of you. Why? Because you're not seeing it. Now, when you insert a tampon, there's a rope that is supposed to be, outside, so that when it's time for you to change, you can just easily remove it. Sometimes that rope can actually enter inside. Your tampon can move higher up your vaginal canal. This is not something you will experience with a sanitary pad. When you go to the bathroom, you see the pad, you see the blood, and that will minimize the risk of you forgetting it. Now, I would say that tampons are so good that it has become bad, because the people that are used to, tampons, they say it's very comfortable. So that comfort can make you forget that there's a tampon inside of you, and that can be very risky because it can cause something called toxic shock syndrome. And this is when a particular bacteria, Staphylococcus aureus, accumulates because you've left a tampon in for so long. Trust me, you don't want to experience it. Now, you can say that this is a very rare occurrence, but it's something that can happen with a tampon. The risk of you having TSS with other sanitary products is less compared to the chances of you having it with a tampon. I'll say this, we don't have enough research when it comes to the female reproductive system. So don't put yourself at risk. If there's even 1% chance that something is going to happen, why are you trying yourself? Why are you trying? It's not worth it. Now, next, in addition to you forgetting that you have a tampon inside of you, you can mistakenly insert another tampon. Again, I would say the tampons are so good that it has become so bad, because if you don't have cramps here, if you are just a normal person when you're your period, it's very easy for you to forget that you have a tampon inside of you, and then you now mistakenly insert another one. I saw this on TikTok, and these girls, they were laughing, they were kiki, and I'm like, it's funny now, but in 10-15 years, you'd have a disease that we don't know. We don't know what caused it. It might be the tampon that you forgot for 5-7 days, and it's not funny. We don't have enough research when it comes to the female reproductive system. Do not allow a disease to be named after you. Next, it's not advisable for you to sleep overnight with a tampon. I think this is just a very bad user experience. Why? Still because of TSS. You need to leave your tampon in for 8 hours. In fact, when you get to that 8 hour, you're stretching, that's you doing too much. And of course, in the night, except you want to be sleeping for 2-3 hours, or you're going to be sleeping for 8 hours, then don't use a tampon. Then what is the essence of it now? If I cannot sleep overnight with it, then I see people say, oh, okay, they use tampons when during the day, and then they use sanitary pads at night. I'm like, all right, whatever works for you. But this particular reason is a reason I really cannot use a tampon. Next, the reason you can easily remove a tampon is because blood has been absorbed. So it's literally the blood that can help you remove the tampon. Towards the end of your period, when there's no blood, removing that tampon is going to be a hassle. One, that rope that you're using to drag it out, it can cut. So now when it cuts, you are now left with putting your finger inside your vagina to remove it, thereby introducing bacteria inside your vaginal canal. Again, I don't think it's worth it. That is all for the disadvantages of a tampon. Now let's get to the more interesting part, menstrual cups. But before that, please, my goal for this channel is to get to 1,500 subscribers by the end of this year. So please kindly click on the subscribe button. Also, like this video. If you are watching up till now, it means I'm saying something good or you are learning. So please click on the like button. When you like this video, you tell YouTube that I'm saying something good and would recommend it to a larger audience. Thank you. So now with menstrual cups, the first time I saw a menstrual cup, I'm like, nope, not possible, not in this life, not in the next life. You cannot pay me to insert a cup inside my vagina. But in the process of researching for this video, I'm a bit open-minded, but only when I'm married. Emphasis on when I'm married, because it cannot be me. Let me show you a video of how a menstrual cup actually works. Shout out to this creator. I saw this video again on TikTok and it does the job, so just watch it. So now, advantages of menstrual cups. Number one, unlike tampons, menstrual cups actually come in sizes. So we have a size for people that are below 30, people who have not experienced childbirth and pregnancy. And there's another size for people that are above 30, people who have experienced childbirth and pregnancy. And I think that is beautiful. It sounds like the people who came together, the team that came together to make a menstrual cup, they actually thought about women. And this is very important because most feminine products, most women's stuff, they don't think about women, they don't think about the consumer, they just make it for the sake of making it. For example, sanitary pads. Why do we have short sanitary pads? And why is that the sanitary pads that are short are the ones that are much more thicker? We have longer sanitary pads, but those long ones are also very thin. Like, what goes on in the engineering process? What's this? Don't you know what a pant looks like? It's supposed to cover you from front to back. When you wear this thing, you cannot lie down on the floor. And most times when you are having cramps, the only way to relieve that cramps is maybe lying down on the floor with your legs elevated. If you use this thing, it's gonna be bloody. So I'm like, the people who made this, they don't think about women. They just made sanitary pads. Because now you can say, if you want longer pads, just go to the shop and look for longer pads. I'm like, it shouldn't be that way. It shouldn't be that way. You don't have to go and look for longer pads. When you pick a particular pad, it should be long. Pants covers you from front to back. So why are we having pads that will stop somewhere and you now have to be... It's very stressful. And it's because of this thing that we have so much things. Because you carry money and buy this thing. And then the ones that are longer will be much more expensive. Like, what's that? What's going on? If you want to make anything for a woman, think about the consumer, think about that woman before you start making. So yeah, the fact that menstrual cups here, it comes in sizes, that is actually very beautiful. Number two, so now it's a cup, so it holds more blood than sanitary pads and tampons, and that means you don't have to worry about stains and leakages. This time for real, not like tampons, because there are some brands that you will buy and you still have to use a pad, which I don't think it even makes sense. But with the way a menstrual cup works, you really do not have to worry about stains and leakages. So you don't have to worry about, maybe carrying an extra pad or an extra tampon. And I think that's really beautiful. Number three, with sanitary pads, you need to leave it in for 4 to 6 hours. Tampons, you can get it to 8 hours, but that's you doing too much. With a menstrual cup, you can conveniently leave it in for 8 to 10 hours. That is beautiful. First of all, I don't know why you need to leave a cup for 10 hours. If you're on your period, I think you should be very self-conscious and very self-aware. Even though the chances of you having any bacterial infection with a cup is less, there is still a chance. So 10 hours is just too much. Except you are really busy and you really cannot change it. But 10 hours is too much. But also very beautiful that menstrual cups, you can leave it in for 10 hours. That is absolutely amazing. All right, so next, this is my best reason. It's actually the reason that stood me out. A menstrual cup can last up to 10 years. Especially with my work with Pad a Girl Child here. If I could find something that I can give to these girls, I will last them for 10 years. I'll give it to them. Menstrual cup here, if not that there's still that process of insertion, I would have become the ambassador for menstrual cups. Now, you can talk about reusable pads. But first of all, how long How long can you use a particular pack of reusable pads? 3, 4 years. Number two, menstrual cups are easy to maintain. When you remove the cup, you empty it in the toilet and then you rinse it and then sterilize it. Reusable pads, you need to have water. And most times when you go to these low income settings, they don't even have water. Or the water is very dirty. Now you're giving them reusable pads. You need to buy detergent. You have to think about water. In fact, I feel like sharing reusable pads in these low income settings, you're just giving them so much more headache and much more trouble. Menstrual cup is much more easier, and I just wish there was no insertion. It would have been the best thing to give to young girls that are experiencing period poverty. I would recommend a cup for anybody. If you don't mind the whole process of insertion, if you're married, if you are, if you're giving birth to a child, I think a cup is a much more better option. Next, because it's a cup, that means it doesn't absorb blood, it collects it instead. So the chances of bacteria building up in your vagina is almost non-existent. There's really nothing like 100%, but non-existent is good. With a tampon, it absorbs the blood. Sanitary pad, it absorbs the blood, and that is not really good. I've heard stories of girls who say they changed their sanitary pad and their cramps reduced significantly. They changed their sanitary pads and the flow of their blood is no longer heavy. It's just normal. And my question is, what is it that is inside the sanitary pad that is causing all of this to happen? So if you see something that can actually collect the blood instead of absorbing it, that is very beautiful. Again, now that we don't have enough research when it comes to the female reproductive system, I will always recommend a menstrual cup. There is no absorption going on. It's just the cup that is collecting the blood, and that is perfect. So now, I've said a lot about the advantages of a menstrual cup. Let's talk about the disadvantages. Top of the list, you still have to insert it inside your vagina, and that can be painful, 1, and 2, very uncomfortable. Now you can say again, it's not that uncomfortable once you get a hang of it. What happens before I get a hang of it? Is it not pain? It's pain now that happens before I get a hang of it. So it's not okay. I don't want to say it's not very inclusive, because at least they considered some set of people, but still that insertion is really a problem. Let me tell you how technical it is, because I don't want to use bad. How technical it is. Sometimes you need to use water to be able to insert it. Other times you need to use a lubricant. If it was that perfect, if it was that good, why using a lubricant? If it could easily enter inside. And you see online, people would say, when they're trying to show you how to insert a menstrual cup, they'll open their hand like this and then put the cup, fold it a particular way to put it inside. And I'm like, how many people? This vaginal size, how many people? It's more of like this, so you have to. Nope. The process of even removing a cup is even much more complicated, because sometimes you have to suction it. Other times, some people say they actually gave birth to a cup. Like, however we want to say, it's just like a tampon. A menstrual cup also stretches the hymen, and that can be painful. Imagine you trying a menstrual cup and you did not know that you had vaginismus. I mean, it would be good that you now know, but that pain, no. Number 2, the process of removing a menstrual cup can be very messy. I'm telling you, it's a crime scene.
I got my period cup stuck and could not get it out is one of the biggest things that we get told when we talk to people about cups. When you insert a cup, it creates a vacuum seal, which is what stops it from leaking. But this means that you need to make sure you are breaking that seal when you want to take it out. As I'm showing you here, if you literally just pull at the stem, tug at it, it's not going to come out. You're going to have a problem. It's not going to be a good time. The key thing to remember is you need to do like a pinching motion where a little bit of the rim will come away.
So it's good that it actually lasts for 10 hours, so that you go back to the house, remove your clothes, and then just stay in the bathroom and move it properly. But if it's outside, just get ready. Even when I'm outside and I want to change my pad, I'm always very self-conscious so that I just don't stain myself. Even with that, I still feel like I've stained myself. Now imagine using a cup. When you put it inside, for you to remove it out, that it can be messy. The blood is going to spill, and so the advantage is that it can last for up to 10 hours. So you can go back to the house and then, spill it in your bathroom. But just that part, I don't like it. Next, I said earlier that with a menstrual cup, the chances of bacteria building up is almost non-existent. That's true. But the process of removing that cup, sweetheart, you need to put your finger inside, and that is you introducing bacteria into your vaginal canal. This is one of the reasons I don't like anything that is inserting. Anything that you have to insert inside the vagina that is not penis. I think that's the original thing that was meant for the vagina. I don't think it's worth it. Now, with the menstrual discs,
you can see what I'm doing. First, you fold it long ways, then you insert it, pointing it towards your back. I end up kind of walking mine in, makes it much easier. And then you tuck it behind the pubic bone. Some of you will feel it tuck into place. You can wear it for up to 12 hours, and then you just reach in and remove. There's no suction. That's it.
I think it's very similar to a menstrual cup. Now, menstrual cups were made before menstrual discs. So menstrual discs more like they tried to make menstrual cup better, so they now made the menstrual discs. I don't think the differences are that significant. A menstrual disc, you can use it for up to 12 hours. But why? I feel like anything you're putting inside your body, especially when you're in your period, you need to take your bath like at least two times in a day. So there's no need for you to put anything inside your body for like 12 hours. So it's you, if you want to say that the reason you like menstrual discs is because of 12 hours, then I don't think that really matters. Next, menstrual discs. Another reason that I don't like it is that in the same category with a tampon, it's one size fits all, and nope. Menstrual discs are also very messy when you're trying to move it. I mean, if you see the design, you would see that, okay, the person that made a menstrual disc was used a menstrual cup for inspiration. So I don't think there's any much difference. Period underwear, I didn't really research about it because I don't think it's really necessary. I might be wrong, but personally, I don't think it's necessary. To be honest, I feel like we should improve on other things that we have instead of now creating something new that will just create more problems and more, complications. That's how I feel about them. Let me talk about sanitary pads. Earlier, I said the problems you'd face with a sanitary pad are much more bearable and fixable, and 100% I stand by that. Okay, what's the first problem? Rashes. Change that particular sanitary pad. You might just be allergic to that particular sanitary pad. 2, try and shave before your period starts just to decongest that area a little bit. Number 3, when you go to work here, you've worn pants, tights, all of that. When you come back, you have dirty clothes. Sit on the dirty clothes with just pants. Just allow that whole area to breathe. Also, the rashes, they're not going to last forever. I think this might be maybe a little bit insensitive, but it's just for the time being, for like 5 days that you're going to see your period, and that is something you can bear. I feel like that is something you can bear. And when we talk about the leakages and stains, even though that your period is heavy, there's no need keeping. I know they say you should use it for like 4 to 6 hours, but change it after every 2 to 3 hours. I know that pads are so expensive, but that's still it's something that it's something that is manageable, honestly. Don't keep it for so long. Now, I forgot to say this with the rashes here. We most times just change the pad and forget about the pants and the tights. It is still dirty. It is also smelling. That might also be the reason that you're having rashes. Any problem you think you have with a sanitary pad, I promise you, it is fixable. I feel like here, the leakages and stains, they are good to an extent. Let me explain. With a tampon, it's so comfortable that you've forgotten that you have a tampon inside of you, and that means you can't forget it. Now, with a sanitary pad, you are conscious that you're wearing a pad, so you cannot forget it. So the chances of you having any bacterial infection, anything, is just less. And I think that's a blessing in disguise. Sanitary pads are a much more safer option. I will say this and say this again. Sanitary pads are a much more safer option. Especially now that we don't have enough funding. I think this is just my motto. We don't have enough funding when it comes to the female reproductive system. There is no need for you to allow a disease to be named after you. You see that sanitary pads, they feel like Pampers. Try another pad. There are pads that are very slim. Try another pad. Honestly, I still stand by the fact that sanitary pads are a much more safer option. So now let me know in the comment section if you're team sanitary pad or you're going to try a tampon or a menstrual cup. With that being said, my name is Emilia Francis and this is Dimensions of God.